Dr. Shepard, can you pull that door up for me, please? Thank you. Good evening. My name is Cheryl Brown, and I'm president of MMBA, and I'd like to thank you guys for coming out to our event. We have a great panel tonight. We also have Matt with National Geographic that's taping tonight for a series that they're going to be doing in a few months. So thanks, Matt, for being here. I'd like to thank our board of directors for being here. They don't want me to necessarily introduce them, but I am going to ask them to stand up, if you don't mind. Gus, Jill, before I start calling. Chloe, I think, is in here somewhere. Thank you guys for being here. We have a great panel tonight. I'd like to thank Dan Hartman for being here with the Department of Revenue. We know that the biggest things on most of our minds this month are the new rules and what it really means to us as operators and industry professionals. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first speaker tonight is Charles Houghton. Charles is also the General Counsel for MMBA. He's also a member of the Colorado Springs Cannabis Council. So please join me in welcoming Charles Houghton.
I'm going to be exceptionally brief tonight. We've got a lot of information that I'm sure that you want to hear from someone other than me. I do want to thank the Medical Marijuana Business Alliance for putting this together. These are huge sources of information, and it allows everyone to kind of exchange what everyone's going through. I know that you're feeling the pains of being squeezed into a regulatory mold that not everyone quite anticipated. And yeah, Lou is right. I've got a lot of clients that are asking me on a daily basis, well, what about this, what about that, what about the other thing? And the thing I can tell you is that don't slay the messenger. Cliff brought that one up to me, Cliff Black. Don't slay the messenger. We're only telling you what the rules are. We didn't write them. We don't necessarily understand all of them 100%, but we are working with people at the Department of Revenue to make sure that we're in compliance and that we're doing things the way that they'd like to see us being done. The biggest thing that I can tell you is that if you've got any questions, rather than spending any money or doing anything, right out of the block, make sure that you get the question answered by someone who knows the answer. There's a lot of rampant rumors running around out there, and I've heard amazing things about, all of the horrible things that are going to happen. And I just don't want you to go spend a bunch of money on equipment that you may or may not need, equipment that's the wrong kind of equipment, hiring staff that you may not need, coming in compliance in a way that no one ever anticipated. Just make sure that if you've got a question, get it answered before you start spending a ton of money. Everybody at the Medical Marijuana Business Alliance is here to help you. If you're down in the Springs, the Colorado Springs Medical Cannabis Council will help you. The people at the DOR have been exceptionally helpful. If you send them an email, if you call them, they will respond. They will answer your question to the best of their ability to make sure that your question is something that they can understand, because if they misunderstand the question, you're not going to get the right answer. With that, I'll let everybody else get up here, but if you've got any questions after this is over, I'll be around, and we'll all be around to help out. But welcome and enjoy the evening.
Our next speaker is Ryan Benson, and Ryan is the co-owner of the Health Center on Colorado Boulevard. He also worked with us on the work group with DOR, and I believe he was one of the leads in the committee for security as well as the new camera system that we're going to be required to install. So please join me in welcoming Ryan Benson.
A lot of what I'm probably up here for is more questions and answers after we get to that part. What I want to say is that Department of Revenue definitely did work with us on a lot of the minimum requirements. When we first walked into working with minimum requirements with standards for cameras, it was $3,000 a camera, with the gross an average of 30 cameras in the location. Now, with the help of Dan and a few other people at the DOR, we've knocked that down into cameras that can be anywhere from $150 to $200 a piece. I think that they definitely worked with us as far as just as last week. We're now only having to record delusional rather than having to record all the time. So as far as hard drive space, offsite locations, that kind of stuff, adds up quick. And with what Dan has done with motion, that's going to help out a lot. Also with row locations, you don't have to necessarily have everything going off-site. You can have only one camera that has to be going off-site, and that camera is the camera that looks at the rest of your security system. DOR will have to have the ability to sign in from off-site, but you don't have to send everything recorded off-site.
They can log in at any time.
It saves another atrocious amount of money. As far as minimum requirements and cameras, what I would suggest the most is don't go out there and spend a crazy amount of money on cameras because they're cool and they zoom in and all this type of stuff. I would definitely look at the minimum requirements and start at the minimum requirements. After that, when Dan, some people start coming in there and they say, that it's not going to work for you, you have to move it, then you can do that. But I would definitely start at a minimum requirement standard, and then as we go forward, baby steps to upgrading our systems. Found a few people that are doing this at really low cost, at the point of $300 for an installed camera. It's running around here tonight. He's really helping out the industry by doing this. Because otherwise, it could really cost a lot more money. So I do want to give, I know security cameras has always been a big issue, but I do want to give DOR a little bit of credit because they did definitely reduce the amount of money we did initially have to spend. So I'll be here for questions also afterwards. So if you have questions for that.
I also would like to thank our vendors, which most of them are here every month. We've got Jason with Agoraware, who's been supporting MMBA from the very beginning. And we have a lot of new vendors here this evening, so get to know these guys. They are business support areas in our companies in our business, so they are supporting MMBA, which also supports this industry as well. So get to know. I think Simply Pure, this is their first time at this event. And we've got Cloverleaf Staffing, Greenway University. So they're going to be around a little bit after the event if you guys want to continue to network with them. I also want to mention we will have a question and answer session at the end. We do need to keep the questions to one question per person. So we have about 30, 45 minutes for that at the end of the panel. Our next speaker is Warren Edson. And Warren's been here on the panel a couple of times. He's with the newly formed Edson and Matts, right, Warren? Okay. All right, so please join me in welcoming Warren Edson.
Well, thanks for all you turning out here tonight. And I, too, will try to be brief because I want to hear some of the answers to some of the questions that we get from Dan in a few minutes here. Remind you all, hang in there. Everybody knows, but we sit here waiting for 3 different sets, if not more, of roles, whether it's Department of Revenue that we're waiting for, and Denver, where we have a pretty big vote next Tuesday over the Brown amendments or changes to the Denver rules, and then the March 1st, 1250 public hearings. And again, we are all exhausted. I recognize that. It has been a very long year, but I urge you to hang in there and keep participating, because we've seen some dwindling in some of these public comments, and particularly the industry folks. We need to urge you to get yourselves out there with a nice, organized argument and just keep making yourself heard. Please continue to urge patients to do the saying, if they think there's issues with these pending rules, because we aren't getting a whole lot of patient turnout right now at any of these things. And the natural assumption from that is that they're fine with it then. And if they're fine with it, I guess that's okay. But I'm not really fine with some of this stuff, and I'm hoping that maybe they aren't too, and we can start to have a more active vote. But again, boys, excuse me, I'm exhausted too. But again, it's been a long year, it's been a long 2 years, and it's going to be a long another 2 years. And we just got to hang in there and keep our heads up and keep pushing on this stuff. I mean, as Rob and I have been discussing, pitchers catches has already started, and the Rockies will be here April 1st. So we can look forward to that, and a great new team, and hopefully some of this stuff will pull together and some of these rules will make stuff work better. So please hang in there. As Charles said, avoid the rumors. Try to figure out both good and bad, because I also have good rumors coming through that I go, oh man, that's not right. So, pay attention. You don't need these guys coming to get you because you messed up some of these little micro rules. So thank you very much. I'm obviously preaching to the converted because you're all here, but sometimes everybody needs a little reminder. So thanks.
Our next speaker really doesn't need any introduction. If anyone's been working in this business for any length of time, you know Rob Corey. He's been instrumental in getting and litigating a lot of the court battles that we experienced. I'm not even sure. I know you're going to talk a little bit about that. That a lot of the litigation that have gone on in our industry over the last year and a half. So please join me in welcoming Rob Corey.
Thank you, Cheryl, for having me. This is a very interesting time in the history of marijuana, is it not? I like to draw from my own experience. I've been to law school, actually graduated from it, even though I smoked my first joint at age 14. Somehow I made it through Stanford Law School. And there's a saying about law school, which is 3 years long. The first year, they scare you to death. The second year, they work you to death. The third year, they bore you to death. All right? A lot of you who are in this business are somewhere in those 3 years. Either you're scared to death, working to death, or bored to death. Probably most of you are in the first 2 years, or some combination thereof. During the entire 24 hours of your day, you probably experience all three of those feelings. So a lot of the lawyers who are on these panels and in the audience as well can sympathize somewhat with where you are. But not in every way, because the marijuana industry in Colorado reminds me a lot of the marijuana plant, which is similar to the wine grape. And from what I hear from people that grow these things and grow marijuana or grow wine, if you stress and test and torture that plant, if you make it go through difficult times, then it emerges even more beautiful, even more potent than before. And that's what this industry hopefully is becoming. We're being stressed, we're being tested, we're being disrespected, and the government keeps coming at us in every different direction. Local government, state government, federal government, all different counties and towns. And they're coming at us with, unfortunately, arguments that lack logic. I mean, I've had the pleasure of appearing in front of, all of these city councils and county commissions, these little podunk places that I have the pleasure of going to and talking